Thank you. Welcome all. Thanks for joining. Um, you've probably been looking into AI agents, maybe exploring some workflows. But the reality is, and what we've kind of noticed on our end is most go-to-market teams are still bogged down with a huge amount of manual work. So invited Jacob on today for us to go through a few different workflows that you can build on Relay that actually help, go to market and growth teams use AI in effective ways. Um, my name is Will Otherman. For those who don't know me, for those who came from Jacob's side, I run a go to market advisory called Catalyst. And we have Jacob here, who's the founder and CEO of Relay App, the no code AI agent platform with some very notable venture backed partners as Andreessen Horowitz, Neo, Box Group, and a few others. And yeah, Jacob, do you want to give a little intro on yourself?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of Related App, but don't worry, this is not going to be an ad for the product. I think
No.
the thing that's more interesting here is we're trying to build a company in the new way, where the new way means a much smaller, tight-knit team of really empowered autonomous individuals that have a whole army of AI agents supporting them. In the olden days, 3 years ago, the standard path would have been for a venture-backed startup would be you raise a seed round, then you're 10 people, then you raise a series A, then you're 30 people, then you raise a series B, then you're 100 people. And I think the way we build companies is going to change. We are all going to have much smaller, tighter knit, more autonomous teams that use a lot of AI to get work done. And I think we're an example of that because we're a 9-person team supporting quite a large number of customers. And the other 8 members of our team are the ones building the product. We have 5 engineers, 2 designers, and a product person. And so I am the go-to-market department. I am marketing, sales, customer success, support, solutions engineering, implementation, finance, operations, HR, etc. And so I thought it would be useful. This is not going to be like, oh, look at my template of amazing things. Comment below for some snake oil. I just want to show you what I actually do, what's worked for me, and what hasn't worked for me, and then you can take away from that whatever is valuable for you. Because everything I've done is very specific to the nature of our business and our go-to-market strategy. I'm not saying everything will work for you in a one-to-one way, but I think the same philosophy of breaking down your departments and roles into slices that AI can take on for you and then building up your workflows and agents over time. I think that general technique will scale and be valuable to everyone.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a really important point there, Jacob. Like, there is so much hype around this right now, which is understandable, and I think there is so many people kind of selling the vision, and there is a lot of power between behind using agents and automations. But I think figuring out what is actually the highest impact for you and your own team is where it becomes hugely valuable for teams. And personally, like, it's taken me a little bit of time to figure that out as well, and a lot of experimentation. And I know this isn't supposed to be an ad, but I actually find like the templates you guys have is a really great foundation for kind of getting the ideas spinning of like very micro things that become repetitive that you might not even think about automating. Um,
Right.
and I learned a lot just by testing and experimenting by implementing those on our side. But really, it has to be what works for you and what works for your team.
Yeah, and I think you made a very important point there about templates, which is I think templates are a double-edged sword. If you see someone saying, "Oh, use my 200 node template and you'll never
Yeah,
have to have an SDR again," like that's not going to work. Their situation is different, their environment is different, their tools are different, their prompt is different. That's not going to work for you.
yeah.
But templates can be very useful as inspiration of like, oh yeah, that's an idea. I hadn't thought about creating an AI agent that automatically scans subreddits and identifies ideas for me to comment. Like that's not exactly what I want to do with it, but I can do this other related thing with it. It's all and that's why I think a platform for AI workflow and agent building It's more like a spreadsheet in that if I pinned you down and like it would be very hard for you to tell me like, oh, I use spreadsheet for this and this. Like you might have a hard time like just generating 100 ideas on the fly of how to use a spreadsheet, but it's just such a general purpose useful tool that over and over again, like as you go through your work, you'll find opportunities. So can I just dive in and show you one specific example that
Yeah,
I've been working on recently and has worked really well for us?
let's do it.
Um, so our product is a totally bottom up, product led, self serve experience, and our whole go to market motion is content, community, and education. We do no paid marketing, no outbound. We just create useful educational content, and then we hope people will come to us because they find that valuable. And one of the very important elements of that strategy for us has been webinars.
Hmm.
Um, and because it turns out like in this world of lots of 30-second or 2-minute or 3-minute teaser videos that show some promise, you can kind of counter position against that by saying, no, I'm going to do a 1 hour session where we are going to be hands on keyboard. I'm going to show you how to actually build the thing, and it's going to work at the end, and it's going to be valuable. And so webinars have been a really valuable channel for us. We do it every week. We get between 50 and 300 people. We did one this morning, got about 86 people. And in my previous life, webinar coordination was very difficult, very annoying, very high friction because you have to decide on a topic, you have to create the calendar event, you have to create the event page, you have to send out the newsletter email promoting it, you have to create the script, you have to create the deck, you need to collect the signups, you need to send the reminder emails. Then after it's done, you need to process the video, put it up on YouTube, send it out to the newsletter, slice and dice all the content. It's a big, like, people don't do it because it feels like a really big lift. And so what we've built, and because I'm the solo marketer and we don't have a webinar person or a product marketing person or an email newsletter person, I am all of those people. We just built a system of AI agents that helps us with the webinar. So let me show you some specific examples. I'll share my screen, and it's actually, these are all very, very straightforward examples. Um, so the first one I want to show you, share my screen. So the first one I want to show you is the sign up processor. And you don't actually need a ton of AI in this. This is a more traditional if this then that automation that you may have used in a tool like Zapier or Make.com or NNN before. I still refer to as an agent because it works behind the scenes automatically on my behalf. We can talk about definitions in a second. I know that's not the technical definition of an agent, but it's the practical definition that I think everyone is going to start using. And so when someone signs up for an event at our events page, events.relay.app, we automatically get that's a page that we built here using Lovable, which is pretty cool. And we used Lovable as the front end, and then we used Relay as the AI powered back end. So whenever a new user signs up for an event, we automatically add them to the event in Google Calendar. We automatically add them to our mailing list service, Loops. We automatically send them a confirmation email that they've signed up. We add them to this sign up tracker that we use for analysis later. We send a message to ourselves in Slack. And then 3 hours before the event time, we send them a reminder email that the event is upcoming. And some of you may have received this reminder email for this event that we're in right now. Another one that does have some AI that's actually pretty cool is we've fully automated the promotion process for webinars. So
Hmm.
we do two promotions for our webinars. I do a LinkedIn post for my personal account, and we include it in our weekly newsletter to our email list. And so here's how this works. All I have to do is create an event on our relay.app events calendar. Then 4 days before that event, AI will automatically write a promotional LinkedIn post for that webinar. And the way it works is we put the topic of the webinar in the event title, and then I gave the AI an example of a previous webinar promotion post that I wrote. Then we have a template of a little promotional poster,
Hmm.
which has the date and time and the topic. You can see here's our template here. The workflow creates a copy of that template, and it puts in the topic and the date and time from the actual event. We then have a human in the loop approval just to make sure that the post and the slide look good. And then it gets automatically posted on my personal profile. So that's how we do our promotion via LinkedIn.
So,
And then,
so Jacob, I want to stop you there because I think we do have some people joining who maybe have never built anything like this
yeah,
before, and we're touching on even just on this workflow here. We have Google Calendar. It looks like we have Anthropic. We have Gemini. Like, walk me through how you were thinking about building this, from the beginning, and how kind of like what steps to add to this workflow and what tools you're using for each, step of the process.
yeah, great question. So I think there are two fundamental skill sets you need to be able to build these kind of AI agents. You need some basic prompting skills that you can achieve just by playing around with ChatGPT or Claude. And then you need some basic automation and workflow skills that you might have if you've used a tool like Zapier or Make or N8N in the past. And so those are kind of the tool sets we'll use. And so what triggers me in my mind that I think I can automate something is I found myself writing the same LinkedIn post for every webinar 5 days before. And by the
Mhm.
time I had done that 4 times, I was like, oh, wow, this is actually, it's not formulaic enough that I could do it entirely with an old school automation. You do need some AI for writing and a little bit of intelligence, but it felt totally within the realm to me of what AI was good at. So so very quickly, I think the easiest part of the workflow was coming up with the trigger, which was based on an event upcoming in Google Calendar, because I always know that I want to promote the webinar 4 days before it happens. And I know that I
Mm.
have this specific calendar for Real It App events. And so it's pretty straightforward to write the trigger. The rest of this, when I originally built this workflow, I just had step 2, write the post, and then step 6, post it. And so I started was like, okay, when I promote a webinar on LinkedIn, I need to write, a quick 100-word post on LinkedIn promoting it. And I want to make sure that that post is specific to this particular topic that we're going after. So I built an AI step, and prompting, I think people are really overcomplicating prompting. This is all the prompting you need. Given an upcoming webinar, please draft a LinkedIn post promoting it. Here's an example of a previous promotional post. That is the whole prompt. Given an upcoming webinar, draft a LinkedIn post. Here's an example of a previous prompt. And I'm not saying this is going to work for every single content marketing use case, but in my case, for our webinars, this prompt works perfectly. All I need to do is give the AI access to the event details, which includes the topic of the webinar. You can see it has AI-powered support in the title. Then model selection is actually a point that I want to mention briefly. I pretty much use one of 3 models for everything. For a writing task that I want to be good, I use Claude Force on it right now. For a task that I think is easy and cheap, like extraction from a large PDF, I use Gemini 2.0, 2.5 Flash. And if it's somewhere in between, I use GPT 4.1, which I think is a good balance of quality and cost. So you can see I built this write promotional post thing using Anthropic. Then I realized I do want a human in the loop to review this, because even though the AI gets it 80% right, sometimes I want to add a couple additional pieces of color that it wouldn't possibly know. So that's where I started. I had this step 2, and I was going to write it. Then I realized, and I did that for a couple webinars. Then I realized that there's no point posting on LinkedIn if you don't have an image. Like,
Mm-hmm.
posts without images perform at, I don't know, Will, you're the expert on this. What, 10% the quality, 20% the quality max of posts with a compelling visual?
Yep.
And I thought, oh man, how am I going to create a compelling visual for this? So I tried all the AI image generation tools. I tried Midjourney, I tried Dolly, I tried Google Image Gen, I tried the built-in ChatGPT GPT-4 image generation, and those were all terrible for this use case. Like, I made a LinkedIn post about it, like, it couldn't spell webinar right. And it turns out those image generators, those are all really good for cinematic imagery, like show me a Viking slicing open a watermelon with an axe in the middle of a volcano, like it'll blow your mind for those use cases. But if you say, hey, just make me a simple webinar poster promoting this thing coming up in 4 days, it like totally won't be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I eventually realized like the easiest way to do it was just to create a template. And I probably would have done this in Canva, but we don't have a Canva integration in Relay yet, coming soon. And so I just made a simple Google Slide template, which is good enough for me. Like your posters are way better than mine will. Like you probably use Canva or some like proper design tool. I just use a Google Slide because that's worked pretty well for me. And so then I created the Google Slide, and then I automatically pull that down into the LinkedIn post. And then I realized that about one time out of 10, the Google Slide I'm not actually happy with because the title overflows or the time overflows. And so that's when I added this human in the loop approval step to just like make sure you can see that this human in the loop approval step is particularly focused on this image. Like, does this slide look good? And so that was kind of the journey I went on, like incrementally over time, where now this runs on total autopilot and I don't have to think about it at all anymore.
Yeah. And I think two things I want to highlight here is the the templates in Google Slides or Google Docs, I think is such an underutilized feature.
Really?
That is so powerful. You really just need to have like an area for placeholder. It recognizes a code, and you can see from this step that it's just feeding in the AI language onto that slide.
Yeah, because
Um,
all I had this little AI step where I just wanted to extract the topic and the date and time
yeah,
in nice text formatting so that it can, and that's why I use Gemini Flash because there's like a super easy task. And then it just sticks those directly. The AI output of step 3 goes directly into the placeholder in that template in step 4.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a really great suggestion, especially if you don't have Canva or any of these other tools. And then, can you just explain the human in the loop step? Because I think a lot of people, again, who use AI and are worried about AI kind of running wild with outputs and posting things. Can you just talk through how that works quickly as well?
Yeah, so there's two ways in Reloaded app that you can add a human in the loop into your workflow. Other tools have other mechanisms for this. I think we've put unusual emphasis on human in the loop among other tools in the space. This is like kind of our big hero feature.
Yeah,
And there's two ways you can add a human in the loop. And let me show you, I actually use both of them in this workflow, so it's a perfect example. The first example is I've add a human in the loop in the context of this AI step, meaning before this AI step finishes, I want to review the results. So what's going
mm,
to happen is once the AI has drafted the post, it's going to send me a message in Slack saying, hey, here's the post. Does this look okay? And then I have three options. I can say, yes, looks good. We're done. I can manually edit the content myself because I just want to change a few words here or there. Or I can give the AI a refinement prompt. I can say, no, go back and add these other 4 bullets or make the tone different or get rid of the M dashes or whatever. And then that's if you want to have sort of a live back and forth interaction with the AI agent as it's creating content for you as part of the workflow. The second way you can bring it in the human in the loop is a standalone step for an approval. So in this case, I have a standalone approval step, which is like after the slide is created. Once again, I get a message over Slack saying like, does this slide look okay? Or do you want to modify it before we automatically turn it into a LinkedIn post? And so in some cases, you want that sort of like deep content creation back and forth with the AI. In some cases, you just want a human checkpoint to say like, yes, go ahead, or no, I want to change this first.
yeah, that's awesome. And being able to approve it right from Slack makes the workflow that much easier.
Yeah, and another type that we don't have here um, is one called the data input, where you basically ask the human for a little bit of information in a little form before the
Hmm.
workflow proceeds. And that's really useful if, for example, I have context on something. So actually, let me show you another workflow that I actually have been using recently that has a human in the loop. So whenever we have a customer that churns, we send them an email, like a super simple form email that's like, hey, I'm the founder. I noticed you just churned. I'd really appreciate any feedback you have about the product. Like, even a few words would be really, really helpful.
Hmm.
but I don't want to always send this email because it's not always appropriate. Like in some cases, I know that it's someone who's just churning because they want to try it out for a month. In some cases, I've already had like a detailed conversation with them about why the product is not a right fit for them, and I don't want to send this additional email.
Yeah.
And so what I realized is I need a human in the loop step where I want to decide if we're going to send a feedback email to the churned customer. So I
Hmm.
added that human in the loop step a while ago. Then what I realized was we didn't really have a great way of having the first name that I want to address this email to. So like Will, I think you signed up as like Will at gocatalyst.com or whatever, and other people signed up with their Gmail account. And
Yeah.
so in some cases, the first name is correctly attached in our system or payment provider. In some cases, we just have the email, and it kept producing like bad, like I was sending these emails with like bad first names. Like imagine, Will, if you got an email that was like, hi, gocatalyst.com. Like, why
Yeah.
did you churn? Like
Yeah.
that looks really shitty.
Yeah. I
And
would
so
never respond.
so what I did was I added like a super simple AI step. And I just said like, based on the information you have, the customer name and the customer email, what is the first name? Oh,
Yeah.
and I also wanted to add this like, please capitalize the first name. If you don't know the first name, uh, just return an empty string. And then, and again, this is not like some mega prompt rocket science. This is
Yeah.
just like a super simple thing I needed AI to do for me to make this automation work, which is like, given what you know about the customer, what is the first name that we should send this to? And then I was able to plug in my email template to include the AI generated first name of the customer. So that's another way where like I got to this over time where I first sent 10 manual emails for our first 10 churn customers. And I was like, well, our churn's pretty good, but we still have more than 10 customers churning every month. And
Yeah.
so I probably need to do this in oh, I don't know why I get balloons for that. Um, but I need to do this in some automated way. But then I realized, oh, shoot, I actually don't want to send an automated email to everyone. I want to have some human judgment, and I actually need some AI, some intelligence to craft this email.
Yeah. And I think you hit on another really good point there. Like, it's so, with all the options of AI, like we try to think of these really big things that we can do with it. And the most times I find I'm using it is for those little things. It's just like with the information you have, like, can you like can you understand like what that person's first name or last name is,
Yeah,
and
so
or like what company they're at, so you can add that to a further prompt.
totally. This is the perfect um demonstration. Can you see my screen now? This is my full marketing org chart. This is the perfect demonstration of how, in aggregate, this looks very impressive and scary. Oh my God, I have 50 different AI agents working for me in marketing.
Yep.
But if you look at any individual one, they're super simple. So, like, let me show you another one that's really valuable to me. Um, this is the second half of our webinar promotion, which is every Wednesday night in Pacific time, I write an email to our newsletter. And that email to our newsletter always includes two things. It includes all of the YouTube videos that we've published in the last week, and it includes an announcement of all the events we have upcoming in the next week. So
Hmm.
here's how that workflow works. It's only 5 steps. It's super simple. It first goes and finds all of our recent YouTube videos from our YouTube channel. This is our YouTube channel URL. It then finds all of the matching events from the Related App events calendar that I showed you previously in the next 10 days. It takes those YouTube videos and those events and it drafts the newsletter. It says, again, this is my whole prompt. Draft a weekly newsletter that shares the YouTube videos and invites people to sign up for the webinars. Here's an example of a previous newsletter. And then the last step in this workflow is it assigns me a task. And it assigns me a task rather than sending the newsletter for 2 reasons. One is just mechanically, I haven't figured out how to get the images over to our mailing list provider. And
Hmm.
then second, I also do want to edit the email before it goes out. But the fact that it runs automatically, it puts the 90% accurate draft in my inbox, has taken this from something I often forgot to do and always procrastinated into something that I remember to do every week and only takes 5 minutes.
Yeah. And can you walk through those first two steps? Because those are really powerful. Like it's finding the YouTube videos and then matching it to the events. How is it able to do that in just two steps like that?
So these are separate. So the YouTube videos are the ones that were published in the past week.
Okay,
The events are the ones that are upcoming next week.
got
And
it.
so the way this works is every YouTube channel has an RSS feed of all the videos that have been published recently. And so this is a little bit technical. I promised I wouldn't go into HTTP requests. We're going to have a native step for this soon. But basically all it does is it goes to this YouTube URL and say, what were the videos for the,
Hmm.
like, what are the last 10 videos? And then it goes to the calendar and says, what are the events coming up in the next 10 days? And so it doesn't actually have to like match the YouTube videos to the events. It just says, here are the YouTube videos from the past. Here are the events from the future. AI, and I used again Claude 4 Sonnet here because it's kind of a harder writing task. I say, based on those, write an example. And here's an example of a previous newsletter. I pretty much always start the newsletter. The first paragraph of the newsletter is always, here are the events that are upcoming next week. And then after the first paragraph is always, and by the way, here are the videos from last week. And so I give the AI this example with the YouTube videos and events that are relevant for this particular week, and then it can write a very high quality draft for me with the right YouTube URLs and all that stuff.
And in theory, you could use that same type of YouTube step to look at what other YouTubers are creating content on and maybe get some inspiration.
So glad you mentioned that, Will. So I'm really trying to get better at YouTube right now. I'm pretty good at LinkedIn. I'm not good at YouTube yet. And the thing that really worked for me on LinkedIn was learning from people who are good at it and analyzing what are the hooks they're using, what are the topics they're writing about, what are the calls to action they're using, and then of course you need to customize it to yourself and your voice and what makes sense for your brand. And now I'm trying to do the same thing on YouTube. So what I've done is I've found a bunch of YouTubers that are kind of in our space and adjacent spaces that I think create really, really good content.
Hmm.
And every time they post a new video, I want to analyze it. So there's
Okay.
this guy named Jeff Sue. He has, I think, like 1.6 million subscribers or something. And he
Hmm.
creates a lot of like AI oriented content, how to use ChatGPT for this, how to use agents for that. And so every time he publishes a new video, I wait for 3 days because I want to see how some of the usage, like the view metrics come in, like the likes and the views. So I wait for 3 days. I go get the transcript. I go get the video. My agent goes and gets the transcript, goes and gets the metadata, and then it writes an analysis. And here's all I said in the prompt. Given the transcript and metadata, please write a detailed analysis that includes the topic, the hook, the engagement stats, the summary of the script, and any key or compelling quotes. And then it sends that to me over email. So I can show you the most recent one. Oh, the most recent one is waiting for engagement stats. I can show you another recent one that I thought was pretty good. So this is a post he did on why 90% of AI presentations fail. And here's the email that it sent me. Here's the topic, the hook. The video opens with a bold statistic claiming 90% of AI presentations fail. It has pretty good engagement stats, 86,000 views after 3 days, 13-minute duration, 3.8% like to view ratio. Here's the script style he used. Here's the case study he used. Here's the tool he shows. Here's some of the best quotes inside of it. And that, I'm not going to like copy this video, obviously, but that gets my mind kind of racing like, oh man, I wonder if I should make a video myself, which is like, I think 90% of people are using AI agents wrong, or something like that, where I can use that same sort of hook format that's clearly resonating, but for my content.
Yeah, I think that's something I'd love to get your opinion on because this is something that I'm personally struggling with, having kind of an abundance of ideas and information at our disposal. You can set this up for LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, people that you admire. It sends you so many emails. And at least for me, like those just kind of fall to the side eventually because there's not enough time to like action on those ideas. When you get an email like that, what happens next? Like, how do you turn that into a YouTube video that you actually produce? And how do you kind of filter out or be selective of what ideas you move forward with?
So I have two different types of workflows that have different purposes.
Mm-hmm.
One class is just education and inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not planning to turn that into a post or a video today. I'm just trying to learn. And you
Yep.
can think of that as like it's sort of the same to like subscribing to interesting newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I have an AI agent that summarizes all my newsletters for me. I have AI agents that summarize all my favorite LinkedIn creators. And that's just like, when I have 5 minutes in between things and my brain is kind of tired, I just want to read something interesting that could be useful. And all that's doing is going into like my subconscious so that
Yep.
next time I'm making a YouTube video, I think, oh, wow, I remember there was that hook format that was cool. Or, oh, yeah, Will had that post about that topic that was pretty cool. So for most of these use cases that are doing like content research and inspiration for me, there's no immediate next step or action item. It's just information and education that I'm marinating on as I try to learn to become a better marketer. Then there's another class of use case, which is like, I want to turn this into content.
Yep.
For example, I try to turn webinars into content. So like, let me show you an example of that. Every time we post a YouTube video, I want to make a LinkedIn post about it from our company account. That's like
Hmm.
bread and butter content repurposing. You got to do it.
Yep.
And it's super annoying. I would always forget to do it. And so let me see if I can find it. LinkedIn, YouTube, LinkedIn post writer for new YouTube videos. So this one is not about giving me background inspiration. This is about producing a LinkedIn post.
Yep.
And so the way this one works is whenever there's a new item in our YouTube, it automatically gets the transcript, it writes the LinkedIn post, it gets the thumbnail image, it gets a quick human in the loop approval, and then it posts it. And you can see, for example, here's the last such post from a video from a week ago. Want to automate your YouTube video analysis? In our latest Build an Agent with Me episode, I show you how to do this. Here's what it does. Here's what it does. And now, again, these don't get massive likes or impressions.
Hmm.
Like, hundreds of impressions, maybe low thousands, because we have 6,000 followers on our brand account. The way we use our brand account, and I'm actually curious to hear, your perspective on, Will. You're the expert on this, but like the way we use our brand account is our brand account is just to show a heartbeat that our company exists. Like, I just want when people go visit our brand account that they on Twitter and on LinkedIn, I just want them to see there is a company that exists that people are working on. Because there's nothing worse than going to a brand account where you're like, the last LinkedIn post was 4 years ago. Like, does anyone even care at this company? So for me, the brand account is not about getting lots of impressions or engagements or views. It's about a heartbeat that shows that our company exists. And for, our 100 or our 1,000 true fans, they're going to see those posts and they'll find those videos. So that's an example of one that I've fully automated. I basically never edit those posts because it's super low stakes. It's on our brand account. Like, not that many people see it. And so that's an example of something that's directly actionable. A middle ground use case would be I very often use customer calls as the basis of LinkedIn content. So like
Hmm.
just before this, I was meeting with a real estate agent and it was super interesting to talk to her because she has a very advanced system for automatically sending out the right documents and automatically notifying her clients of new things. But because it's real estate, because it's an ecosystem that I don't know really well, all the tools were kind of different. All the processes were kind of different. All the terminology was kind of different. And it was
Hmm.
like a really interesting call for me because it had a lot of the same automation and AI fundamentals, but in a different lens. And so now I will have an AI agent that turns that into a LinkedIn post for me that's like, hey, I'm learning about how you'll probably see this post from me in the next few days. Like, I'm learning all about how AI agents and automation apply to real estate. Here's a few things I've learned of why it's super powerful for real estate agents. Here's a few things I don't understand yet, but I'm working on it. Like, let me know if you want to talk. And the
Yeah.
call to action there is I want to set up meetings with 15 or 20 real estate agents who can teach.
Yep.
Because everything on LinkedIn, I'm always thinking like, what do I want to get out of this? Do I
Yep.
want to get thousands of people to get a brand impression on Relay, or hundreds of thousands of people, or millions of people? My best posts get hundreds of thousands. Do I want to get 100 people to sign up to a webinar? Do I want to get 5 people to meet with me? And then I try to like tune the content and the call to action based on the goal. I'm not trying to make every post go viral. Sometimes I only want 5 real estate agents to contact me.
Yep. Yeah, I think having an intention behind your posts is something that people often overlook when writing content on any platform. But it's like, what's the actual action you want people to take? And it's
Yeah.
often not just getting hundreds of thousands of impressions. Although you are very good at doing that, and any insight into that would be helpful for the
So
list.
here's a little example. I've been working on this document about like my whole LinkedIn strategy.
Yeah.
And I'm like 2 pages into this document, and I think it's going to be good, but it's honestly a ton of work. And
Yeah.
like, it is not bringing me joy to write this document. And I was like, no, before I go any further, let me see if anyone cares about, like, would anyone find this thing useful? Because for me, doing like a live session like this is way cheaper. It just takes 30 minutes. It's way, because this document is going to take me like 10 hours to finish.
Right. Right.
Um, and so I made a post 16 hours ago. My goal for this post was to get about 100 reactions and about 50 comments. Because I said, hey, I'm working on this thing.
Yep.
It's going to take me some time to finish it. But in the meantime, would you be interested in a live Q&A? So a live Q&A is never going to draw the same number of people who just want to link to a web resource, right?
Right.
Like it's going to be a 10th or even 100th. So I know this is not going to be like a multi-thousand comment thing.
Right.
But I just want to see like the vibes in the comments of whether people care. And so
Yeah.
you can see like, hey, like there are some pretty interesting people who are saying they're interested in this. Like it's been like, it got to about, honestly, I'm pretty good at predicting this stuff now. It got to about 100 reactions and about 50 comments. And so what I did after this was um I just went onto my calendar and I scheduled a live session for this Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's on the Relay Events calendar. If you go to events.relay.app, you'll see it. That'll automatically get included in the newsletter tonight. So I'll
Hmm.
probably get 30 to 50 people to show up for that. I'll get live feedback in the call on what parts of the presentation are most useful and not. And then I will take the output of that call and I will ask AI to complete the document based on the output of the call. And that's how like the whole system works. And then when the document is complete, I'm going to try to make a mega clickbait post about it. Like
Yeah.
the most annoying LinkedIn post you've ever seen. That's like, here's how I went from 5 to 50,000 followers. Follow these 3 simple tricks. Like everything that annoys you about LinkedIn. Yeah, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yep.
Like I'm going to lean fully into that. Like, comment below if you want to see the full document. And we should bookmark this and come back to it. I think that'll get at least 100,000 impressions.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, those types of posts go,
I
as
think it's like,
obnoxious as they are, they work.
yeah, like, and I used to be like, I'm above doing posts like that. It's like, no. When you're an entrepreneur, you gotta like do whatever it takes for your business to succeed, even if it makes you look like an idiot on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And so, if you look at like, I can show you some of my past posts on LinkedIn just so you get a sense of what has worked for me. The posts that have worked best for me was like this post went totally crazy, which was the marketing org chart post. That's by far my best post ever. Double in impressions and crazy in comments, 27,000.
Yeah.
Then some of my webinar posts do pretty well. Some of my AI agent posts do pretty well. It's kind of a combination of like webinars and individual agents, but you see it decays pretty quickly down to 80,000, 50,000, 40,000. Then I have a bunch of posts that are like in the 30 and 20,000 impression range. Because these are all posts that were going for big audiences, but I actually changed my strategy on the webinar posts because I don't actually want a webinar post to get 6,000 comments. Like,
Hmm.
because I don't want 6,000 people at the webinar. Like, they're going to be a bunch of people who are not the right audience. They're going to fall behind in the live presentation. They're going to ask a bunch of questions in the chat. So I actually changed strategy where, like, now for my webinar posts, I aim for like 100 comments. So
Hmm.
I can show you the one I did. Um, wow, I'm actually hitting it spot on here. The one I did, for this week got 99 comments.
Yeah.
And so like I've basically just sort of like tuned the content until like, hey, I know for a webinar I want to get 100 to 200 people, but I want them to be the right people. And then I only want to try for like a super viral post every 3 months.
Yep.
And I'm honestly still replying to comments from the last one.
Hmm.
Uh, and so I always have an idea of like, oh, what is the next? And I don't know exactly when a post is going to go viral, but I kind of know if I have 5 ideas with viral potential that probably one of them is going to hit.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about ROI? Because you're a founder, you have a product you are selling, and you are the go-to-market team. And how do you think about content leading to ROI, and how are you measuring that, if you are?
Extremely unscientifically. We are like honestly 100% vibes based.
Okay.
Like, I know that our go to market strategy is to build the easy to use tool and then an education based content and marketing strategy to provide it.
Yep.
We used to try to measure attribution, like how many people come from LinkedIn versus YouTube versus our newsletter. That added friction to our onboarding. The data was all BS. We took that question out. We used to try to calculate like, oh, like what percentage of people that came from this LinkedIn post turned into paying customers and this webinar turned into paying customers. And we just spent so much time trying to think about ROI and calculate ROI that we weren't doing the work. And
Yep.
so I've just stopped doing that. I do not think about ROI at all.
Hmm.
If I make a LinkedIn post, I see who that LinkedIn post resonates with. If I make a YouTube video, I see how many, how well that YouTube video does. If I do a webinar, I see who shows up. And because I'm so on the pulse of our customer base, because all my AI agents are like we do every week, I know which customers have signed up, which customers have expanded, which customers have churned. Whenever we have a customer that does an expansion, we are logging like what webinars they've attended or what LinkedIn
Hmm.
posts they've commented on. So we do some of that logging, but like I don't use that to decide how much time to spend on LinkedIn versus YouTube versus not. It's more like my newsletters and my inspiration, which is I just want to understand anecdotally the shape of the business and
Yep.
like the shape of the business, meaning like who are the users and who find us really valuable? How do they tend to hear about us? And at this level of our sophistication, again, because it's all organic, like we're not paying any money for anything. It's just my time. And I'm totally capable of doing the current cadence of LinkedIn posts, webinars, and YouTube videos. That this sort of like just understanding the vibes of where people are coming from and who's finding valuable is plenty. Where I do think we would need to get more disciplined is as soon as we start doing paid marketing, like
Yep.
you really need to up the discipline there because otherwise you can light a lot of money on fire. And so if and when we do that, I think we will need a way more disciplined and rigorous approach to ROI. But right now, every single person who hears of me or hears of Relay.app is valuable. Oh, the one other thing I wanted to mention,
Yeah.
maybe you know this, there was some podcast I was listening to, and I forget who it is. I want to give them credit for this idea, but I forget who it was. But they talked about how modern marketing, especially like PLG self-serve bottom-up marketing, is less of a funnel and more of like you're a planet building gravity. And so
Huh.
I don't think of it like, oh, Will saw a LinkedIn post, then signed up for the product, then became a paying customer. That was not your journey to becoming a paying customer of Relay. Your journey to becoming a paying customer of Relay was like, you saw one of my LinkedIn posts, you saw another one of my LinkedIn posts, we had a quick little LinkedIn exchange about an idea, you saw another one of our LinkedIn posts, you signed up for the product but didn't activate right away, but then you were on our newsletter and then you saw a couple of newsletters and then you found a use case and then you activated. And I
Yeah.
think that is a much more resonant way for me of thinking about how our users find us. And that's been backed up by every time I talk to a user, like, oh yeah, I first saw you in this LinkedIn post, 6 months ago, or I heard about your friend 6 months ago. But then then I saw this and then I saw that and then I decided to join. And so all I'm trying to do is just build gravity that people have high quality interactions with me or our content that builds up their affinity for wanting to use our product. And then at some point, months or years down the road, they'll eventually pay us some money.
And I haven't heard that gravity analogy, but it is very in line with what I talk about all the time with
Yeah.
content is the funnel is no longer linear, especially with organic content. People
Yeah.
are self-servicing, doing research, right? If you're generally interested in AI agents, you've tried N8N, you've tried Zapier, you've tried
Totally.
Relay, you're doing self-exploration, but you're in this bubble, you're in this world, and I guess that's the gravitational reference there.
Yeah.
Um, and the more you can show up in that gravitational field and the more that you can provide value, it's really, shots on bat, like how many times can you be in that person's sphere and in their world to build that trust and get them to
Exactly.
actually like choose your product.
Because I really think the way people are buying products now is they're not looking at some feature matrix and saying like, oh, this platform has this feature and this platform has that feature. They're just like, I've seen the way that that founder and that company carries themselves. I
Hmm.
see based on the kind of content they produce, what kind of people they are,
Yep.
and the brand, like the brand that I am trying to like. What I'm trying to communicate about myself is that I'll try to communicate educational content that is practical and useful and hands-on. I do not try to overcomplicate things. I do not try to overpromise things. I do not ever talk negatively about my competitors. I'll give you straight answers about like the limitations of our product or what AI can do. Like that's sort of the brand, because that's my personality. And founder brand, as you know, like founder brand become found company brand and founder personality are intimately linked. And I just want people to see several times that I'm a decent person trying to build a good product, and then eventually they'll choose us over the alternatives.
How intentional is that? Because I would say now that I've gotten to know you a little bit and I obviously know the product, like there's a direct parallel between what the product represents, how it displays. It's so much easier and friendlier than N8N or any of these competitors. And that's you. That's like you as a personality. Like how intentional are you thinking through that?
I think it just happened. It just happened because every time I found myself doing something unnatural, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like when we tried to do outbound sales, it didn't work. Like my personality is not sending you a cold email and
Yeah.
trying to convince you to buy my thing. It's just like it just didn't work coming from me. It didn't work for our product. Like there are some people who that works great for. That fits their personality, it fits their product. But for
Yeah.
me, like and so for us, like every time I've been more myself and have made the product like a better match to who I am, we've done better as a company. So it's just sort of
Yeah.
happened organically.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, I have heard, the word authentic gets thrown around a lot, but
Yeah.
when authentic is authentic, like it works and it just happens naturally.
Yeah, totally. And like if I um if I want to create useful content in the long run, it has to be something that is unique to me. Because I could probably create one viral LinkedIn post just by copying yours exactly, but that
Yeah.
is not going to be like a durable long term strategy. A durable long term strategy is like, I want people to see me as a trusted voice that is going to help them navigate the transition of the workplace to
Yep.
AI. And so everything I want to do is to both build trust and provide utility along that journey. Like that's why the Cluely marketing strategy would never work for me. It would never
Yeah.
work for me. It's just not me. It's not our personality. It's not the company. Like I would way rather have a YouTube video with only 1,000 views, but has like really valuable down to earth educational content.
Yeah. I think we might have skipped over a little bit because we saw content that you get inspiration from that just goes in and internalizes. We saw content that you publish to your company page. And then we've seen viral posts. Did those come from your agents? Are they writing those? And what's the connection between you having an idea and you putting that out into the world? And how do you think about that process?
um, None of my viral posts have been fully written by an AI agent.
Okay.
I do have um LinkedIn post writer.
Looks like you have some hook writers. Are those pulling from inspiration?
Yep, yep. So I have a LinkedIn post writer. Shoot, I can't find this. I can't. Let me try to now. Oh gosh, see we have a lot. We do a lot with our product.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna go to social media content
While
creation.
you're
Oh yeah,
looking,
LinkedIn
okay.
post drafter. Um,
Yep.
so a subset of my viral posts have come from seeing what other people have written.
Yep.
Pretty much always, I just sit down with a keyboard and belt it out.
Yep.
If I'm feeling writer's block, I do have this sort of like backlog where I just jot down content ideas when I'm on the go and then
Yep.
it makes drafts for me. And if I'm looking for something like, if I'm just feeling like, I don't know what to say today, I'll go to that spreadsheet and see the previously AI drafted things. And I never have AI just fully publish it. I always adapt it from there. Um, so for me, AI is all about the research, the inspiration, and then the follow up and tracking, not so much about the content creation itself.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely see that as well on our end. It's really good at coming up with ideas and, jogging your memory or kind
Yeah.
of going through sales calls and understanding pain points, but
Right.
it's not good at inventing something new.
Right.
And that needs to come. And I love what you said about kind of just having those emails of inspiration coming to you, because you just internalize that and it sits with you and it does help you the next time, but it's a really hard thing to measure and track, the
Exactly.
performance
And the more time I put into a LinkedIn post, the worse it does. All of my best posts
there. Hmm.
have been like early in the morning or late at night, like either before my kids wake up or after I put them to sleep. And I just think of something, I write it on the screen, I close my laptop, and then I come back a few hours later to thousands of comments. Like
Yeah.
I've never sat down and thought I'm gonna write a viral post. Like I've always known that the idea had viral potential and I was kind of kicking it around my mind. But the post drafting itself has never taken me longer than 5 minutes.
Any advice you could give to founders who know they want to be doing organic content but are maybe a little reluctant or hesitant to posting?
Yeah, this was me. It's been like I like didn't want to do it for a long time. I had no results for a long time. What I always come back to, the easiest starting point is generate content based on customer conversations. Because always, every single customer conversation I've ever had has had a nugget that is valuable to many more people. And so for me, that is always the easiest place to look for good content ideas. Um, so that's point number one. And then point number two is don't think about promoting your product. Think about building a long term trusted relationship with the role you want to play in the ecosystem. So, like, anytime I do a post that's like new feature in related app, crickets, zero engagement. No one wants to see a founder hawking their product on LinkedIn. Like, that gets no engagement, no interest, no attention. But if I produce useful educational content about what I'm seeing with AI agents or how I'm building our team or what AI is going to mean for this particular class of the workplace, like that performs way better on social. So like the way I think about it is like our LinkedIn is kind of our top of funnel where people get exposed to me and who I am and how like my mission in this phase of my career is to help small businesses navigate the transition to an AI powered workforce. And like that's
Hmm.
everything I do on LinkedIn is to serve that end. Like I want to be your trusted resource as you're helping your business figure out how to adapt to AI. And then if you think our product may be useful, then our newsletter and our YouTube are like mid funnel, mid to bottom funnel channels. They're like, okay, now that you're here and you're interested, I'm going to show you a bunch of specific use cases and come to one of my webinars. Let's build something
Yeah.
together. Here's a template. And so that's what I would recommend. Like really think about if you're trying to build a broad presence on social, like who are you? What is the value you're trying to bring to the ecosystem? And talk more about that and less about your product.
Yeah, totally agreed. Thank you for that. And thank you for this session, Jacob. This was hugely helpful. I know we've shown a lot of the Relay product through this process, but any specific plug you want to give or anything to direct users?
No, I definitely don't want to plug Relay. But there is a video that I recorded that I think would be useful where I spent 45 minutes walking through my whole marketing org chart. I think the title of the video is My Marketing Team is 40 AI Agents. You can find it on our YouTube channel. And again, the purpose of that is not to show you like all the cool features of Relay, though I do like our product. It's to show you like when you really embrace the new way of constructing a team and constructing a business, the opportunities for AI to be helpful to you are just everywhere.
Yeah, 1,000%. That video helped me a lot too. Just kind of think through different use cases. and gave you some glimpse into how to build them yourself. So I'll drop that in the LinkedIn comments below in this
Cool.
recording for everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you again, Jacob.
Thanks,
Really
Will. This is
appreciate
super
it.
fun.
Yeah, super fun. We'll have to do it again, and
Yes.
I hope there were a good video quality across the board with everyone at LinkedIn Live. Maybe this
Yeah.
will get them to fix some of their feature bugs. But yeah, thanks again, Jacob. Have a good one.
Thanks. Yeah.
Bye.